Hello, everyone, and welcome to technically the official last BC WrestlePod post-show breakdown of 2025. Welcome back to the Elite Insight, where, your AEW pay-per-view review show here at BC WrestlePod. Of course, my name is Mikey, head of BC WrestlePod, and joining me this evening is my lovable, Mr. Beverly D'Angelo, just coming up with all the names. We love it. But Benny is in the house. Hi, Benny.
Who doesn't love a good bear pun, right?
Very, very few. I was just like, very, very true. And listen, it is the two of us, so y'all know what's about to go down. So I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to make these announcements really quickly. If you are new to BC WrestlePod, now is a good time than ever to start, subscribing to our YouTube or following us or Twitch or Kick. We are slowly but surely getting new stuff up, and I'm excited for 2026 because, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to everything. But if you're looking for something a little bit more self-contained that doesn't require you to dedicate hours upon hours watching our lives or going to our archives of videos that we have, you can still interact with the little BC WrestlePod community on your favorite social media site, because we're pretty much everywhere except for the Twitter, but that is okay. And on said social media sites, you can find our report cards, our prediction scores. Some of us did really great at World's End predictions. Some of us not so much. Spoiler alert, I won World's End. We'll get into all of that because I was just like, listen, these picks are going to make or break me, and made me they did. But there's a lot of fun stuff on the social medias that you can take a look at if you want to. We also have some merchandise, but you better hurry because they are only available for 48 more hours before the designs go bye-bye to make room for our new 2026 merchandise stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we have a little coffee bot who jumps into the chat ever so often. If you want to help us pay for these pay-per-views, man, because AEW, I love you, but like you're the only company that I'm still paying pay-per-view prices per pay-per-view, but it's okay. I'm willing to do it because they are always great. But let's also try to figure something else out. But it's all good, though. All right, I've done all the bossy stuff out of the way. Let's get into it. We are here to review World's End. The way that this, post-show breakdown is going to work is we're going to go through 0 Hour really quickly to give our quick thoughts of course, Antonio adding like 18 matches to 0 Hour. And literally in our text thread, Betty, when you posted the poster of 0 Hour, I'm like, God damn it, Tony. I was like, I'm not going to complain, but damn it, Tony.
Like 3 minutes before they go live. Like, oh, here's 2 more matches, by the way.
Damn it, Antonio. We love you, but darn it. But we're going to go through 0 Hour. Then we're going to go through the main card and just, break down all the matches, what we thought of it, and give our final thoughts at the very end. So stick with us for the ride. So let's get into 0 Hours, shall we? Because we kick 0 Hour off, here in Chicago, Illinois, in the Now Arena with a tag team match, which sees the Sisters of Sin, which is Sky Blue and Julia Hart, taking on Hyann and Maya World. We're on Collision, facing the Babes of Wrath. And I should have seen the signs, especially since Hyann and Maya actually got, a graphic and some instrumentation and some music when they were coming in to face the Babes of Wrath at Collision. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, oh my gosh, the Sisters of Sin, not to say that they've been bad prior to this, but I was just like, this was so clean. And I'm just like, I'm here for a Babes of Wrath, Sisters of Sin feud. Let's get into it. But shout out to Hyann and Maya World because they took a last minute situation change, and now it has gotten them booked and blessed regularly, even in squash matches. And spoiler alert, it has also got both of these girls signed to AEW, which is the most important part. I was just like, Hyann and Maya World are officially #all elite.
Yeah, these girls really killed it in this match. Like this whole match was very fluid. And Maya World and Hyann even got an entrance. Might have to work on that music a little bit, but everything else was pretty great. Like, one thing I loved was that Hyann was smiling from ear to ear. She couldn't have had a bigger smile on her face, which warmed my heart. Go get it, girls. And
100%.
the Sisters of Sin, they're always good. And I think Maya World and Hyann made them pick up the pace a little bit, too.
I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It definitely, not knowing that Hyann and Maya World were going to get signed after this, but it was a good showing for both of them. The Sisters of Sin also looked really good in this. Sisters of Sin do pick up the victory here. But again, the biggest takeaway here is that we got 2 more women added to this roster. So I'm just like, here we go. We're slowly adding more depth into this AEW women's roster, Tony. Thank you. Also, since we know that Hyann and Maya World have also been on Ring of Honor, I was like, I will take that too. Let's put them on AEW and ROH television because both shows rosters need that depth.
Definitely.
I'm excited to see Maya too. I was just like, you are Miss Athena's prodigy. You are a student of the fallen goddess. Like, let's go, girl.
Instead of her selling. Like, she's definitely imitating, but that's the biggest form of compliment, right?
100%. So we move on to our second 0-hour match, which has spilt on over from ROH. I was just like, I will take this consistency. I was like, at least ROH stuff is also like taking it was like coming on over to the AEW pay-per-view side of things because we have Eddie Kingston versus one half of the Grizzled Young Veterans, Zach Gibson. I fucking love Zach to death. Excuse my French, but I love Zach so much. I like GYV in general. So prior to this, Eddie already took on, the other half GYV. And so now he's taking on the other half. Eddie would just waste no time. He's just like, bam. It's like, oops.
Yeah, I don't even think that the music ended before this match started,
He really was on site. And so Eddie and Zach get into it. GYV try their tactics, but Uncle Eddie still pulls out the victory for us here on this one. But, GYV were not done because they weren't having it. There was a match attack where GYV's beat up on Eddie Kingston. And then I said this in our text thread as soon as that was happening, because then who should come out and run out to save Eddie? But Ortiz! I'm like, oh my God, he's back on my screen. I was like, damn, Ortiz. I was wondering where you went, my dude.
Exactly. Like, I love the funky monkey, Angel Ortiz. Let's go.
Coming out with a whole tube sock. I was like, there better be butter in that thing. No, but Ortiz comes out to even the odds, and it seems that Eddie and Ortiz are going to be teaming up, which makes me super excited. And I'm just happy to see Ortiz back on my screen because I'm like, your tag team partner has, for the last year, already been on my screen over at another company. So I was like, where are you? And now you are back. So I am very, very happy. And of course, coming to find out later that he's been sidelined with an injury for almost a whole year. Now he's good to go. So I'm like, yes, Ortiz and Kingston together. And I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
I will take it over at Kingston and Hood. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So much better. But yeah, shout out to Eddie. Ortiz is back. I'm super happy. Shout out to GOIV. Loved everybody in this all around. This was just a match This match was made for me. I'll tell you why. It had everything, right? It had my luchadors that I got to stick around for this one, even after the C2 was over on Thursday after Collision. Bandito is my wrestler of the year, so I'm never going to complain. Rocky on my screen was great, and my second baby daddy, Dunkzilla himself, Mark Davis, was on my screen as well. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna lie, Betty. I'm kind of glad that Mark Davis is getting pushed on ROH TV a little bit. I was like, you know what? Mark Davis and Ring of Honor would be really fantastic. I'm not even going to lie. Split the Don Callis family and have them be on AEW and ROH, just run both sides would be fantastic. This was so much fun. I had a blast with this one.
Definitely. I can understand why he was your wrestler of the year this year because he's fantastic. And it's crazy that he's only 24. It's absolutely insane. Like, I can't wait to see what he's like in like 10 years. And
100%.
Rocky Romero is like the invisible hand in wrestling right now. And I agree with you when you said that Mark Davis getting reps down in ROH. Like, just get him some TV time. Like, he's a monster heel. Like, you can slot him in against any top babyface and get a great match out of him.
We saw glimpses of that during the Full Gear, national championship run in like that gauntlet match that we saw, right? Because I was like, when he came in, that stretch of like 3 minutes of him just literally dunking people with pile drivers was awesome.
Yes, sign me up for all of it, man.
Yeah, so this was great. Mascara Dorada and Bandito win here. Of course, Mascara Dorada heading back to CMLL now that the C2 is over. And Bandito looking to, spoiler alert if you haven't seen last week's Collision, but Bandito is on a collision course with our AEW World Champion at Maximum Carnage, who we will talk about in a little bit when we get to our main event, because Bandito is not going to be facing the person who walked into the championship match as champion. So we'll talk about that when we get to the end of this. Also, I love the internet and just how wholesome and gay it is, because somebody cropped, Brody King giving the ring to Bandito. It's just like, congratulations on the marriage, you two. This is like, we love it. But we get into our final 0-hour match, which, boy. So this is, of course, The Demand and Josh Alexander taking on what we have unofficially dubbed Jungle Speed, which is Jet Speed, which is Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, teaming up with Jurassic Express, which is Jack Perry and Lucha. Of course, the heels, specifically The Demand, were playing shenanigans at the beginning of this, because not only did they attack Jack Perry, but Luchasaurus was MIA for like the first couple minutes of this match. And also, I was laughing so hard because someone put it, like, paused it just in time. It's just like, I don't think Speedball knew he was working tonight, because he came out wearing Kevin Knight's pants. Yeah. It's like, he did not know he was going to be working this match, which we love. But yeah, I love that The Demand were playing shenanigans at the beginning of this, like a good heel faction should, trying to get the numbers advantage. Also, shout out to that person who gave Jack Perry, soda while he was knocked out too. I was like, this is why I love wrestling in general. It's like fun stuff we get to see like that. Damn, this match ruled. This was a lot of fun. And this actually did not go into the main show. I was like very surprised. I was like, I'm kind of used to now some of these 0-hour matches going into finish up in the main show when we start.
Yeah, like when everybody had come out except and like we still had like 15 minutes left or 14 minutes left, I was like, wow, this might end before the pay-per-view, which is great because you don't have to do that every time. Like it makes it less special if it happens every time. And Speedball with the pants has a great update on that on the Speedball blog. We try not to push anybody else's content, but it's Speedball.
Honestly, anything with Speedball Mike Bailey, I was just like, he's a joy to watch whatever he's doing, whether it's wrestling or his YouTube content. It is fantastic.
Yeah, and the Luchasaurus spot, like, man, that happens at least once a year, doesn't it? Like it's always a good spot to get the crowd up. And who better than Lucha to just come in and clean house? So,
absolutely.
It was so much fun.
It was absolutely fantastic. Jungle Speed win this match. We love to see it. This was just a fun way to end 0 hour. And so then, of course, we get the intro video for World's End. We jump straight into all of the action, right? And we officially begin World's End. And we were told from the jump at the end of 0 hour, beginning of the show, be like, hey, we're going to start with the Continental semifinals for the first 2 matches. I'm like, I was like, oh boy, here we go. And so we jump straight into the main card with our first Continental Classic semifinal match. This is the winner of the Blue League, taking on the runner-up of the Gold League and the current Continental Champion, Kazuchika. This is the match that everyone has been clamoring for since the beginning of the C2 when we found out that and to count opposite brackets, we're on opposite leagues, and we knew that these two were going to collide in some capacity. And they opened up the show, and I was just like, oh boy, here we go. And I will say, I want to preface by saying this, right? I was just like, nah, we're waiting until Revolution or some down the line later for these two to go ham. But still, they kind of went ham. Yeah. It's like they went at each other. There is no love lost between these two. They were strong, stiff arming each other, just being obnoxious to one another. It was so much fun to watch. I was so excited, and I'm just like, this is going to be crazy. I don't know if there's any shenanigans that are going to go on in New Japan this upcoming weekend at Wrestle Kingdom, but these two cannot stand each other, and I wish I can live in the world of delusion like Don Callis to be like, hey, everything is fine. These two love each other. I'm like, Don, are we watching the same program as everybody else? Like, what level? I was like, I want your level of delusion. Like, I wish I could be as delulu as Mr. Phallus over there.
Yeah, he's just trying to keep it all together,
But this match, man, I don't understand what people wanted from this. I was just like, listen, I feel like some people's expectations were too high. I was like, guys, they can't go all out, no pun intended, like so quickly. This is literally their first encounter like this. I was like, wait, it's going to build. We have like 2.5 months until Revolution. We're probably gonna build up to that. They're gonna fight at Revolution. It's gonna go crazy. So I was just like, y'all be
patient. Internet doesn't happen.
Wrestling community, nah.
Give it to me now, and everybody wins.
It's like that SpongeBob meme. It's like, I can't. I love you, wrestling internet, but I can't. But oh my goodness, these two went at it though, and we love some good storytelling because we got some shenanigans at the end. Because Okada's just like, you know what? We've gone on long enough. Let's do this. I will say it was a little sloppy on the ref's part. I was like, ref, you totally saw that screwdriver. Like, Okada could not hide that very, very well. You saw it, but we're going to pretend that you didn't. That's my only nitpick with this match. But Okada with the screwdriver allows him to get the win over Takeshita. So Okada would be moving on to the finals. Benny, what did you think of this opening the show nonetheless?
Yeah, I thought it was perfect to open the show because we're starting the night off hot. Unfortunately, a lot of it didn't really meet the expectation of this match. I'm not saying that anything was bad after this, just that this has been building for like 3 months and everybody was chomping at the bit for this. And I like the storytelling where knows that the screwdriver is in the turnbuckle pad. So by the time we get to the next match, it's a problem for somebody else. And I think Takeshita has a flight to catch. So it makes sense that he went on first.
Very, very true. Okada will be there a little bit later too, because Okada will also be busy this upcoming weekend as well.
That is true.
So yeah, so this was a fun way to open the show. Again, Okada would be moving on to the finals, and his screwdriver would not only be the outcome and affect this match, it would affect the next one too, which we're going to talk about right now, because we get into our second match of the main card for World's End, which is the second Continental Classic semifinal. Kyle Fletcher versus Jon Moxley, and I'm just like, you get one of these. This match was, Lord, I say, I had to go back after all the initial watch through, and I had to reassess my notes and rewatch a couple stuff. I think this was probably my favorite match of the entire night. I'm not even going to lie. I was just like, give Kyle Fletcher a championship in 2026. Let's put some world title on him, man. Like, And Moxley, we're going to talk more about you when we get to the finals. But like, to go from the crowd booing you at the beginning of the night to cheering you towards the tail end of the night, Moxley has used the C2 to tell a really great story. And I wish more people would be talking about that, because essentially, Moxley is now quasi babyface.
Yeah, it's really not going to take much to make that turn happen. I can understand why this was your match of the night, because Mox really wrestled like 2 different styles on this match, and like he was pulling double duty just like Okada was, which I thought was pretty impressive. This had some really gross spots, one that got everybody talking, but they had a lot of really great storytelling in this. And that like Fletcher was being a little bit too overzealous because he's a little bit younger, and Mox using that against him, just keeping on top of him. Like I really like this, and like Fletcher was clearly the heel in this match. This is really where the babyface Mox came out, because he allowed Fletcher to take the role of the heel, and Mox was. I'm surprised we didn't get a suicide dive in this match, to be honest with you. But this was absolutely fantastic. And we'll be talking more about
Jonathan. Yeah, but so let's talk about this, because I don't want to say that I'm never really generally surprised in wrestling anymore, because I'm here to be surprised, even when things I wasn't expecting. But let me tell you, Benny, and I said this when we were watching this on Saturday, there is one thing that makes me pop as a wrestling fan more, and it makes me feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm actually like wrestling, like a wrestling fan. Because when Kyle Fletcher went to that corner and was trying to look for the screwdriver, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, continuity and storytelling.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, I love it when I can put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, oh, Kyle's going to be mad. And mad he was, because Okada threw that screwdriver under the ring as he was exiting the match before. And Kyle went into panic mode. He's like, oh crap. Okay, let's just do this. And it was in that few seconds of hesitation where Moxley and Kyle just went spammer for spammer, which allowed Moxley to finally put Kyle down. I'm just like, ooh, Kyle is going to be big mad this week. He's going to be big mad.
Yeah, there's drama in the Don Callis family, that's for sure.
I was just like, oh, boy, I'm so excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, Moxley ends up beating Kyle Fletcher here. and this was fantastic. Good storytelling. Yeah, I'm excited to see where Kyle was so dejected on the social medias afterwards. He's like, for the second year in a row, I find myself in this position. I was like,
Tony Khan has done it again. Just when we thought he was gonna zig, he zagged. Good job, Tony.
100%. So, Jonathan, we're going to talk about you when we get back to you and Okada a little bit later. So, we move on from some Continental action to get into the rest of this card, because then after this one, we get our AEW World Tag Team Championship match in a Chicago street fight, which sees FTR and the Bang Bang Gang. So, we have Austin and Juice Robinson. I'm just like, shout out to Mr. AEW Casey Jones coming out with the shield of the trash can on his back. Like, I was like, oh, there were some fun spots in this.
But I digress. But this was fun. I like Juice and Austin. Austin has really come a long way. I know he's been working with his father down in whatever promotion they have. But this was fun. There really wasn't nothing. But why does street fights always take place in a ring? It makes no sense. Just make it a hardcore match.
For real, it's just making it a hardcore match. I was like, if it's a Chicago street fight, have to go fight out in the concession stands. Like, those are my favorite types of street fights, when they fight in the hallways. Quite honestly.
I think I figured out the problem is that they call it a Chicago street fight, and if they went outside, it's just a cornfield.
That's very, very true. Honestly, I don't think specifically Dax and Cash, I don't think wanted to go outside in the snow and just, their wrestling shorts like that.
No.
Though that would make some great content, but not of the wrestling kind. Anyways, so FTR do retain their championships here. No Jay White returned quite yet, so I'm very interested to see when the Switchblade will be ready and coming back for action. And to be honest, I'm kind of interested to see who FTR goes up against next as tag team champs. Again, I still hold to the belief I don't think FTR are going to hold these things for long, but I'm very interested to see where they go. So we're going to keep our eyes on that as the next couple of AEW television. And, we got 2 months until Revolution, so we got a lot to build up to. So moving on, though, we get into our next match of the main card, which sees, if my production will work, there we go. That's the correct one, yeah. I was pretty spot on with almost the correct order when I put these together initially. But after the Chicago Street Fight, we get into our AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship match, where we have the Babes of Wrath, our champs, Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron, taking on the challengers of Mercedes Moné. Might I add you, the TBS Championship, and your Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena. I was just like, I'm still perplexed as to why we had the TBS Champion and the ROH Champion fight for the tag titles, but you know what? I was like, okay, and I'm here for it. Let's see how this was. Just so much fun. They just went for it and just did. All 4 of these women did creative things in this match. I was just like, was this the cleanest match? No, but did they do things that I have not seen anybody do before? Yes. I was like, this felt like a proper tag team championship match. I was like, oh wow, they're actually doing tag team maneuvers. This is just fun. Yeah. I had fun with
this one. Was super fun. Athena was a motivated woman in this one. She was on her game, and as was everybody else. And the past few weeks I've been giving Harley some, but then again, when you have Athena, Mercedes, and Willow alongside you, it's sort of hard not to have a bad match.
Oh, 100%. And Harley has put in the work so much. And she even said it during the media scrum, too. It's just like she's been in the entertainment industry forever, but her heart is with wrestling, and she wants to prove that, yes, she can be entertaining, but wrestling is also where it's at with her, and she wants to be a good wrestler. And so, like you said, when you are in the ring with Willow, Athena, Mercedes, and you're also training with the likes of Madison Rayne and Rachel Ellering too, when you get a chance in ROH as well. It's just like she's learning from some of the best. And I'm actually looking forward to, because of how she's going and how these relationships with these international companies work. Harley will be in the UK in March to participate in Eve Girl Battle Riots, like Queendom. And I'm just like, listen, that show is already going to be crazy, because Chris is going to be taking on, Charlie, formerly known as Dakota Kai in WWE. But now Harley's going to be there. This is a show that Osprey is producing. I'm just like, listen, I was like, we're going to find out how to watch it, and we're going to talk about it, because I'm excited.
I believe Eve is on YouTube. Actually, I know Eve is on YouTube because I follow them and I watch pretty regularly. They're wicked fun, and I wish we could get a Harley Cameron versus a Mira Michael Oak person. I don't really know what they are, but anyways, Harley, I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I believe she's been working with Flatbacks as well. Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears training school.
We truly love that. We're gonna talk about the crash out a little bit later, though. So the Babes of Wrath are still your AEW Women's Tag Team Champs. I'm also very interested to see where we go with them. I'm kind of hoping they enter a feud with the Sisters of Sin, which will also give our women's champion a feud to go into as well. So this is going to be fun. But we got to move on, though, because after this match, these were just two nut jobs who were just here to kill each other. They said, fuck wrestling. We're going to see how much we can make each other bleed. So we get Gabe Kidd versus Darby Allin. And I'm going to be completely honest. I was just like, leave it to Anthony Khan, to be like, hey, so Gabe was injured and Darby was also kind of injured. So we kind of put a pause on this. So let's put this match on this pay-per-view right here. I was just like, leave it to Antonio to run back something that we had to put a pause on because of stuff.
Let's run it back. 7 months later.
I was just like, sure, Antonio Khan, we love you. We really, really do. I still juggled with it. I was like, did this need to be on a pay-per-view? I came to the decision. I was like, yeah, I was fine. It was in a pay-per-view slot. I would have been fine if this was like a match on the go-home angle, but, you know, it's Darbs. We love Darbs. And poor Darby couldn't compete in the Continental Classic because, I don't know, he got second-degree burns. Yeah. He got set on fire. So it makes total sense. And Gabe Kidd's just a fucking psychopath, and I love him and his... This was not a wrestling match. It's like, let's just see how much we can hurt each other and make each other bleed. That's what I equate this match to.
Yeah, they definitely exchanged bodily fluids and like not in the fun way. But like, you know, because this could have been another spot for a couple other people. It was fine. I sort of checked out, like started disassociating after a little while because I was like, I don't know why this is here. And I love Darby. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not just crapping on all of this. Like, it was fun. The only thing I'll say about Gabe Kidd is that, like, his selling is so goofy that I can't take him seriously. Like, he's supposed to be he's cello-legged, and, like, he's just so goofy. I don't get it. But for those who do, good on you.
100%. Gabe has had a really weird year this year, not just in AEW, but in New Japan as well, like, honestly. So it's been a very weird year for Gabe as well. Darbs does barely eke out the win here, and he had to be held to the back by the ref. I was just like, I swear, if on tomorrow night, if we're getting told Darbs is going to be off television because he needs to heal, I'm like, Darby, take it as a sign not to go nuts.
We also have to have not we have to have a discussion, but can somebody tell him no? Can somebody just like...
I was like, it could have been on the Go Home Dynamite, and we could have called it a day. Like, Miracle on 30, like a brawl at 34th Street, like we could have had it there, and we would have fine. Merry Christmas to watching these two make each other bleed. Yeah. And it was the Hammerstein. You could have jumped off balconies and stuff like that if you really wanted to. But, you know, that's a whole different discussion. So again, Darby ekes out a win here. This was my low point. I still had a good time with this, but I was like, this kind of felt out of place on this card.
Yeah.
But then picked it right back up for me. This was my sports entertainment match of the night. Oh, hands down. I was like, I need more of this, please. I don't care if it's goofy, silly wrestling. But we get our Mixed Nuts Mayhem 8-person tag team match. I wasn't sure how the Mixed Nuts Mayhem factored into this, but then, you know, as they were explaining it, I was like, it's kind of a stretch, but I'll take it. But we have the Death Rider, which of course is Daniel Garcia, which somebody pointed out, Pac was on the graphic like as of Wednesday. And then when we got through the sit-down show, going through all the whole card on Friday, it is now Garcia. I was like, that's a good question. But honestly, I'm kind of okay Pac wasn't in here because Pac killed it in the C2. So I was like, he can take a week off. He's fine. But we have Daniel Garcia, our CMLL World Heavyweight Champion, Claudio Cassidy. Yes, that is the sentence I said during this review. And, you know, Wheeler Yuta. And probably my babe, though I'm not going to fight Roddy for her, or she'll fight me, and I'll be okay with it too. Marina Shafir. So the Death Riders are taking on the team of Timeless Tony Storm, with the conglomeration, which is Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and against his will, Roderick Strong. This match was stupid fun. I need more of this in AEW, especially if we get moments like, I'm gonna just be so for real. My favorite sequence was, Claudio picking up Tony, putting her on the top turnbuckle. She slaps it. It's like, how dare you? Gives this man a whole DDT and he sells it like a champ, only for him to get back up and put Tony into the swing, which then Roddy comes in with the knee strikes. And then we have the face-off between husband and wife. Roddy and Marina are staring each other down. Marina holds nothing back and kicks Roddy straight in the throat. And then Roddy backslaps, chops her in the back. I was just like, no notes, 10 out of 10. Perfect. Also, I did not know I wanted Orange Cassidy and Timeless Tony Storm as a mixed tag team until they were literally doing tango wrestling moves in the middle of the match. This was just so much fun. I could not stop smiling. I don't care. People are mad and I don't care.
Who's mad? Fuck them.
It's like people don't know how to have fun. And if you hated this match because it wasn't real wrestling, then gently and lovingly go play in traffic.
Right? What do people want? Anyways, Marina is so confident right now, and she's just come into her own. It makes my heart happy. And to the Pac thing, I don't think he would have fit in this match. Pac's a very serious character. He takes himself way too seriously. That's Pac's thing. And Claudio does not take himself serious.
Nope.
He's the most silliest guy in the world when he wants to be. And I'm sure that's not the first time that Tony's been known as a swinger. Man, but yeah, the tango, the violent tango, this was PWG nonsense, and I was all about it. And when I say nonsense, I mean a fun filler, right? Because this is exactly what this card needed. This moment was just a breather. Just a laugh, and because the show was going long at this point, so they needed a little bit of a refresher to get them back, and boy did it ever. And Mark Briscoe, now that the C2 is over, can we start having some open challenge matches with Mark, because that's what the TNT title is sort of for. And Mark is honestly probably one of the better TV wrestlers that they have on the roster. So let's do it.
100%. That's exactly what we need. Let's do this. Yeah, this was just 100. This was so much fun. Tony Storm and the conglomeration win here. We got celebration. Roddy is still not celebrating with everyone. Mina came out. We had our lesbian lovers. We had everything. I was just like, I'm excited. This is great. This was the only match I got wrong because I got everything else right. Because in my mind, I was like, Moxley's not going to win, but I don't think the Death Riders are everyone is going to lose tonight. So somebody has to win. I was wrong about this one. And then the finals was for an extra point, not against our total score. But I need more of this, please. AEW, give me more of this. This is just stupid fun. So we leave our Mixed Nuts Mayhem 8-person tag team match and we get into the crash out of the century, and I was here for it. And I quote, Willow, next week I'm going to beat your fucking ass. End quote. And I was just yes, crash out of the century, here for it.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing that Mercedes is great at, it's the downfall, right? The crash out. She has the best angry face. Somebody kicks out a 2 and she's like her lip is quivering and all that stuff, Man, I'm so here for this. I don't call her the GOAT for no reason.
100%. And I'm excited. So this sets up Mercedes and Willow at New Year's Smash tomorrow. And I was just I want the story to take off now. I was like, Willow should win tomorrow, and then just let the crash out continue. Love to see it. So after this, my favorite meme from this past week of wrestling, we get into this one, and this was stiff as hell. This was just big meaty mamas beating on big meaty mamas, Jamie Hayter versus Chris Statlander. These two were just stiff, and I was here for it. These two brutalized each other. They brutalized each other So, of course, this was for the Women's World Championship. Stat defending her title against challenger Jamie Hayter. This was brutal. This was just craziness. And I was just, oh man, this was so stiff and I was here for it.
To borrow a phrase, we knew it was going to be a slobber knocker, and boy, was it. You know, Hayter hits hard and Stat hits harder. Stat is really starting to come into her own as she goes along. I don't think that she should be out there cutting 6-minute soliloquies. That's not her style. But she made it work at the Hammerstein, so I'm not hating on it, you know. Jamie is though. I like the fact that like all it took was just like she just caught her. Like just one good move and still AEW's Women's World Champion, Chris Statlander.
So yeah, I don't have anything else to add to this. This, like you said, this was a slobber knocker. And we knew it was, but hot damn, these two went for it. And again, I said this earlier, you know, for both the babes, who ends up stepping up to them next? You know, Chris is taking care of Jamie. I think the next person who should come after, I'm actually kind of rooting for Tekla to be the next challenger for Chris.
That's where my mind's at too.
I was like, if you're gonna have the Sisters of Sin go after the tag championships, have Tekla come after Chris for this title. Like, and I mean, we have 2 months before the next pay-per-view, so if we're gonna build that story up, we got time, so let's do it. So after this match, boy howdy, we get into our Continental Classic final. So this is for the Continental Championship, which is a whole nother discussion we could have for another time, because RIP the Unified Championship apparently. So I'm just like, why waste our time? But anyways, in the Continental Classic final, it is our champion Okada taking on Jon Moxley. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I will say, for me, wrestling-wise, this is probably the weakest of the 3 Continental matches we got, but by no means was this bad, because it was still pretty good. But I think where for me personally, where it lacked in like the wrestling aspects of things, like we got in the semifinals at the beginning of the show, did exactly what it needed to. And the fact that the night here in Chicago started with Moxley being booed to throughout this whole entire match, the crowd was here for chip tooth babyface Moxley. Like, whether he wants to say it or not, even if he's a tweener, he legitimized himself as babyface in this match. And spoiler alert, he ended up winning this match against Okada and is not only the winner of the 2025 Continental Classic, but he is your new Continental Champion too. I did not have that on my bingo card, but I was here for it. And again, I found myself rooting for Moxley throughout this match too. I was like, what am I doing? Oh my God, Mox won me over. That's crazy.
You know, I might be crazy, but I was actually rooting for the Death Riders that whole last year. This match, as you pointed out, was a little bit slower, or it wasn't as hard hitting as the other 2 matches. I really think that this was, in a way, Mox showing Okada how to work a main event style in AEW, because it's not that Okada doesn't know how to work a main event style. He's all, you know. But I saw a video the other day, a little clip of like how Moxley broke his tooth or chipped his tooth as he like gets let loose and like chips his tooth. But I digress. This was fantastic. Like, to be honest with you, like, I feel a little bit of Mox redeeming himself from that 2019. I wanted to say 2020, but I was like, that's not right. That 2019 G1 loss. Right. And this is the match he's also been chasing for a while.
Which, you know, our good friend Nick brings up. Like, would you all consider this a dream match given the history between these two?
Absolutely. This was a dream match for me. That's why I can't even get my thoughts right. I'm all over the place because I'm like, I love this.
And I think especially for those of us, I would also consider this a dream match. And I don't want to sound elitist when I say this, but I think for those of us who have followed Okada and Moxley's careers, not just in AEW, but their careers in New Japan, like, it's, you know, these two have, you know, I don't even want to say their generation because it makes it sound like they're super old, but like in that crop of talent in New Japan, these two were always trying to one up each other. And like, who was the true ace of New Japan? Was it Okada, the Rainmaker, or was it, you know, Moxley pre-Death Riders? Like, these two have always been in and out of each other's wrestling lives, so to speak. And once again, we got these two colliding here at World's End. And to those of us who have been following these two's careers forever, I am confident in calling this a dream match. And so like we said before, Moxley is your new Continental Champion. Okada now only holds the International Championship. But the thing that got me was the babyface promo that Moxley cut at the end of this match. You know, Tony Schiavone comes into the ring. Death Riders were there. My heart, I was clutching my pearls. I was like, "Ooh, is this where the Death Riders go crazy?" But we're gonna set that up later. But Moxley cuts this promo, and you know what? I don't want to say he was disenfranchised with AEW when the Death Riders storyline started, because the whole thing has been him and Danielson didn't like, for all intents and purposes, the reason those two formed the Blackpool Combat Club is because they were tired of looking at this men's roster in AEW and being like, y'all are a bunch of wussies. Like, y'all are some pussies. Like, literally what it was. They did not like the locker room. They felt like there was no, like, people weren't hungry for championships. They weren't fighting hard for everything. And then, of course, you know, Moxley, when Danielson got thrown out and it became the Death Riders, Moxley was still on that. And in this promo, we literally took the whole year and a half and put a nice little bow on that chapter, because Moxley says, like, this Continental Classic, all the competitors in both the Gold and the Blue League proved that there is a fighting spirit in AEW in the locker room. And so it's because of them, it's because of the fans, that this championship isn't just for him, it's for everyone in the back, it's for the fans. And I was just like, this is a very babyface promo for Moxley. And I'm just like, oh, this turn with the Death Riders ousting Moxley out is going to be bittersweet when it happens now. And I'm excited. I cannot wait. I was like, in one night, Moxley went from getting booed to winning the crowd over as a babyface. Also, but Chicago, I was like, next time we need to get it together, y'all. I was like, get it together. Anyways, we move on from this, and I mean, let's be real. We knew what this was. We get into the main event of our show, the AEW World Championship 4-way. I was thoroughly entertained. I had a good time with this match. My only critique about this is I felt that, not because I knew the ops were going to get involved somehow. My only critique with that is that I feel like they came in at a weird place of the match, if I'm going to be completely honest. I was just like, the way that they were placed and coming to run interference to me was a little weird, because then I was like, oh, okay, we're getting to the ending. And then we went like 6 more minutes and then it ended. I was just like, and also the way that they ran interference was kind of a little bit, I was like, y'all have the numbers advantage. Why are you listening to the ref as he's telling y'all to get out? Like, what's T? Like, what happened? I was like, what's going on? It's not like Hangman and Swerve were fighting all of y'all on the way to the back. Like, what happened? That's my own. This was fun for what it was. Also, shout out to Swerve giving me that green. He made up for the lack of DC, ring gear during the DC night pay-per-view at Full Gear. And I was just like, just cast Swerve Strickland as our next Green Lantern. Like, when you have not only DC Comics, when you have James Gunn retweet and comment on this, as well as DC Comics do this, I was just like, Swerve is winning at life right now. I was like, the pacing of the ops running interference is the only thing that really bothered me about this match. But other than that, I thought this was a fun main event.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's all I had. You can go ahead.
All I was gonna say is that it's pretty obvious who's gonna win, especially like comes back like 2 weeks ago, runs everybody down, the incident explodes. The last week he gets his come up, and it was pretty obvious that he was just gonna come out on top. Like the odds were in his favor. And that's why he picked his spot, And I'm actually one of the. I feel like I'm one of the only people that's actually sort of looking forward to this.
You're not the only one. Trust me.
Yeah. First and foremost, his comments 2 weeks ago or whatever it was were uncalled for and utterly disgusting.
Oh yeah, I was a little cringe. I was just like, listen, MJF, I know, Max, I know this is your thing, but given everything that has gone on with the Diddy Dick Diddler, like, we cannot. I was like, and I know that's your shtick. Max is a scumbag. That is his thing. But I was just like, sir, I'm just saying. I was just like, I know it's a character choice, but I needed somebody in the back to be like, Max, you should not.
Yeah, because like the thing is, right? Like you could say that, like, the crowd was supposed to boo, but they cheered instead.
Was like,
but that was the cadence on Max's part. They cheered because of how he said it. He wasn't he wasn't saying it as a heel. He was saying it to get a pop. So that's on him. Moving away from that, this was fun. I like Joe as a transitional champion. It also adds that resume And that also means, because it's a gigantic Samoa Joe mark, right? For lack of a better term. He's a very big fan of Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe only had one TNA title win in his entire time in TNA. So guess what? He's now outpaced his entire TNA with his run in AEW.
Which I'm super excited for that. And Joe has gone on the record to say this is like he is okay to do whatever needs to be done. Like he doesn't mind. He doesn't need a long championship reign. If they want to give him a long reign, he's cool with it. If they want to make it a short reign, Joe is in this for the business, and he's just like he don't care. And Joe has even said he knows he's getting to the tail end of his career. I was like, listen, Joe, I don't need you and AJ Styles retired in the same year. We got to space it out, please, because my emotions are not ready.
I don't know how my tear ducts would explode.
Listen, we would need to bring tissues on here and be like, we just have a cry fest, and I couldn't. So, again, MJF is our new AEW World Champion after the shenanigans that go down and him pinning Joe. We do not have to wait long for Max to have his first challenger, because in 2 weeks at Maximum Carnage, it is going to be Max versus Bandito, who won the diamond ring, which guaranteed him a championship match against Max. So that should be a very fun one. And Max's championship run doesn't need to be long, but it does set up for some really fun stuff for Max. It's going to be Max versus Hangman 2, Hangman, Max versus Stu, I think at this point, Darby versus MJF 2. And then eventually when he comes back, when he's ready to go, Ospreay versus Max 2. Like, Max is going to have a fun run. And I was just like, I think Max is holding on to this until probably either Double or Nothing, or if they are going to make him a champion going into the whole, for the majority of the year, I'm also calling Wembley is where Max finally loses it to. So Double or Nothing or Wembley is where I see it going off of Max. So we shall see, though, because I have been swerved, no Strickland before with this company. And yeah, that is it for World's End. So let's give our final thoughts, shall we? I'm going to be generic AF, because I'm basically going to reiterate what I put in the report card for World's End. So I gave World's the scale that I use for the report cards here at BC WrestlePod is the report cards go from a scale of C- to A+. I don't think any wrestling show is a D or an F quality. Those are reserved for absolutely horrible ones. Like Ric Flair's retirement match. That was an F because of how bad that whole entire show was. So that is the criteria I need everyone to remember. I gave World's End a B. I think as an entire pay-per-view, I would say that this is like my least favorite AEW pay-per-view this year, but by no means does that mean that this was a bad show. I think what AEW did perfectly for this one is that it tied up everything that we've had in 2025, and it set up a lot of stuff going into 2026, which I feel like that's what World's End needs to be. And of course, the Continental Classic is what carried most of the show, and those were excellent, as well as some fun matches that were had. And I'm looking forward to the next 2 months of AEW programming with Maximum Carnage. We are getting Grand Slam Australia in February too, so we're getting back for that too. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, I had a good time with this. Benny, any final thoughts on World's End as a whole?
I thought it was a really great in-ring pay-per-view with a little bit of whimsy, just enough haha to keep it going. All in all, this might be one of my favorite. I know it's recency, but this might be one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year.
I can see that. Yeah, this one was a lot of fun, and I definitely had a fun time getting to watch most of it with you before your computer decided to X-nay on the fun, but it's all good. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. This is our final AEW pay-per-view review of the year, as well as for a little bit, because the next pay-per-view isn't until March, and that's going to be AEW Revolution. But in between, All Elite Ensemble will still be here. We will be back to our regular scheduled programming starting next week. So we will be here next Tuesday to review New Year's Eve Smash and Collision. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But we got one more thing coming up this week, as we are still within the holiday vacation reset kind of for all of our hosts. And that is this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I, and possibly some other folks who are on the new Progress Wrestling team, will be here to review Progress Wrestling Chapter 188, which is Unboxing 8, The Search for Socks. No announcements, no card. Just went into the show absolutely not knowing what was about to go down, and it was a banger. And this show definitely sets up the next two shows for Progress leading into January, where we have both our men and women's champions defending their titles relatively soon. And I look forward to talking about that on Thursday. So celebrate the new year with us, because that will be the official first review of 2026, because it will be happening on Thursday, January 1st, 2026. So spend the New Year's Day with us, or New Year's Day evening with us on Thursday, because it is going to be a great time. But that's going to be it for us here at the Elite Insight. Thank you for everybody who has tuned in to all of our AEW programming in 2025. It has been a journey. We started off this year just me, JVL, and the professor. And now, halfway through the year, we picked up a hitchhiking Benny who virtually did the watch along of y'all in Texas, where we sat there for 6 whole hours and we're just texting on screen and on the social medias with each other. And now Benny has been indoctrinated into the folds. And I am very grateful and very happy that he is here, because Benny, I love you, and you add so much to our little group. And I'm very happy to have you here, my friend.
Happy to be here. And speaking of thumbs up, hit the like button.
Yes, smash that like button, because we're content creators, apparently. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We look forward to hopefully you joining us this Thursday, as well as all of our regular scheduled programming starting again next week. But until then, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll see you Thursday for Progress Wrestling. But until then, until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.